But for those who don't know, we've been talking a lot about this band, this radio band.
Okay.
Could you please share with, the rest of the world who don't know, what was the origin of this band and what effect had it had, and does it still have an effect on you?
Band, as far as, when people think band, they think, okay, well, they may not want to play his record. The record was never the issue. The issue was you had promoters, right? If you do a concert with me and you're a promoter, and even if you didn't use the radio for advertising, but say that they know you dealt with me and you try to go advertise another show that have nothing to do with me after, the fact that you align yourself with me, they're not going to take your money, they ain't going to take your business. So therefore, it was putting me in situations where if anybody deal with me, I'm damn near stopping them from eating at the same time too.
Well, before we get into this, makes a lot of sense, but for people to fully understand it, who was the band? What was the corporation, or what type of corporation was this band coming from? And what was the purpose? What was the justification for banning Trae Tha Truth out of everybody?
So what happened is, at Trae Day, it was a...
and Trae Day is a celebration for you on your birthday.
No, not my birthday.
It's not your birthday?
It's just a celebration that the city celebrates.
But it's around your birthday.
Yeah, it's in the same month, but ain't nowhere...
Okay. All right, and this is an event that you put on annually to give back to the community and, uplift.
16 years, right?
For 16 years, right? And uplift the culture.
Yeah. Take care of everybody in the city.
In your name, and there's different programs and different events and stuff that go on, right? Okay, and on one of these days, one of these celebrations, something happened.
So what happened was the event was over, everybody's home safe. And like we street cats, so everybody, sometimes people tend to still hang or whatever it is. And long story short, a fight broke out and somebody pulled the weapon and it led to whatever that may be. And it was what it was. There was nothing that could be done to that.
Right.
But the radio, which is here in Houston, it's Radio 1, 97.9 The Box. What happened is they instantly go to radio and they're like, hey, it's always your type people causing these problems. It's other words that it only happened because when situations like that happen across the world, they need somebody to blame. I just so happened to be the person that they were trying to blame it on when the event was. If you was at the event, it was a huge success. Everybody was blessed. Everything was good. You know what I'm saying? So me, when they went to talking about it, it's always your type people, which led to when you ask, hey, you always jump in to defend. Instantly, it's like, what do you mean those type people? Are you referring to those who need help, the lower class? Like, you can't say just because we was at the event, that event was terrible. At the end of the day, that event was amazing. You had some of the biggest artists in the world there, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the event was peaceful, amazing. Everybody made it home safe. I can't control what happens when we gone from there.
When the event was over.
Yeah. Okay. So as I'm talking to them.
So you wasn't there, everybody, you had gone.
Yeah, it was, they were literally around. People packing up.
Right.
Because, I got carnivalized everything.
Right.
So at this point, it's, it's just people packing up, so it's the end.
So the event had concluded.
Yeah, it was gone.
And you were gone, and everybody else associated with the event were gone.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, they were one of the sponsors. So I guess they did it to make sure that they cleared their name off the rip.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So as we talking, and we do that, it's like they just steady, they picking, they just going and they running this interview back to back. So it's like,
which
now
interview?
Because the argument came on air.
Well, who was being interviewed?
I am not 97.9. The morning show was interviewing me.
Was interviewing you, and the morning show said to you, "When you're type people."
Yeah.
Okay.
So as they interviewing me and they doing that,
so what they mean, bald head nigga with beards and gold teeth? They were saying with them type people. What type people were they saying?
I think they really basically referring people from the hood in general.
Okay,
that's just what they was. And so as they doing it, they think it's amusing to a point, because some people instantly called in like, nah, y'all wrong for doing that. Like, we watched this man bust his ass and we know that was a beautiful event. Like, what y'all doing wrong.
Right.
And then you had some people Because you got to remember, everybody in radio ain't tuned into the rap world. So now you've automatically formed the opinion with people who don't know me. Like, oh shit, whenever that nigga, we ain't going to none of these events. We don't want to get shot up. None of that.
Now, if I may, so after that, then came the band.
Yeah. So what happened is, lady got disrespectful. I ended up calling the lady a fat ass on one of my songs. It's the only thing I ever did. And next thing I know, banned across the world. I guess for two reasons. One, because I spoke up and they feel like, hey, if we don't make an example out of him, somebody else may try us. And, you know, now, do I feel as a more mature me, it was worth the time? Nah, because at the time, like, I shouldn't have let y'all get under skin to even work me up to that point. You know what I'm saying? And that's me being honest about it.
Right.
But at the all in all, they still wasn't right with what they done. And then it wasn't right because you got to think, Tip, my kids, my firstborn son is disabled. Everything I'm doing, I'm busting my ass for my family. Y'all blocked me in every way y'all could. Y'all wanted to make sure I'd never eat again in life. And for me, that's another reason why I became a loner, because people watching this that know these people wrong, but they don't have enough nuts to tell them, hey, they out of line. One person did try, and guess what? They ended up getting banned.
Who?
So, Leon, he ended up doing an interview, and he was like, hey man, I just want to say I think it's wrong what y'all doing to Trae. Instantly. His shit, he really ain't been on the radio since. You know what I'm saying? So it became a point to where they bullying people. All I know how to do is fight, and all I'm gonna do is stand with the people who stand with me. You don't owe me, so you ain't gotta stand with me. But if you do, I'm gonna figure out a way, and we gonna keep pushing, you know?
That's right.
And I felt like it was a hurtful situation watching motherfuckers cheer for this to be happening.
You think people cheered?
I definitely.
I never saw nobody cheer.
Yeah, but you gotta. You gotta move around where I move around. To
I ain't
understand.
gonna move around where you move around, but I'm just saying. I move around a little bit, and I'm sure we move around in some of the same places. I've never seen nobody cheer.
Yeah. You gotta remember what I told you. It's certain ways of doing things, because you can't openly do a lot of stuff in the open because it'll make you seem more of a hater. So definitely, it was there. Also, it was a blessing for artists too, because at the time I was dominating the radio.
What?
So now you take that away, that's more opportunity for other people.
I got a couple things that just come to mind, and this is based off of my experience with corporations and being in this situation. I haven't been banned, but I've lost enough corporate sponsorship opportunities to be able to speak knowledgeably on the subject. All right, so first off, you hit the nail on the head, I believe, when you said you felt that the large corporation that was the sponsor needed to free themselves of responsibility. I think that is a fair observation. In understanding that, allowing them to do so while shaping it in a way that makes it make sense for you and to others, I feel like instead of opposing it, like, to give you an example. All right, so I had a time, man, where it was about 2006, I think, 2005, BET Award, LA.
I was there.
You were there?
I was there.
You sure?
I promise you.
I don't think you. Okay.
I was there.
All right, so we had a BET brunch. A brunch. I had on linen pants and a cashmere cardigan. I'm talking about I was sharp, dressed to the nines. I was on my peaceful, successful vibes. And I stepped in, and there was there were tensions that flared and actions that took place that I participated in, even incited, okay? And it ruined the event. It was just, it was just trap music all over Anita Baker brunch. You know what I'm saying? And BET is associated with the event. And I am, one of the biggest artists at the time, and I know that, you know, I know BET's looking at me, and like, oh man, we ain't gonna never have him. I just assumed that that's what they were thinking. Had I responded in a way that was oppositive to their position, it would have created tension. It would have been a back and forth. So what I chose to do was go up there, and when I spoke, I took full responsibility for my actions, involvement, whatever activity. And of course it's different because I was literally involved. I was the reason this happened. You know what I'm saying? It was me. And you feel like not so much. But when we the head of the body and everybody came here for us and because of us, we carry there's a sense of responsibility that we carry. We bring that influence to the event, and we take away the responsibility. The responsibility goes with us until the event is over. You feel me? So if it was some like, you know what, I don't agree with what you're saying, but get what? I do take full responsibility because everybody came out there for me. Now, I don't support the actions and activity that happen, and this is not what I stand for, and da-da-da-da-da. So if you gave them a way to kind of, at least they could have said, okay, well, he's not leaving us out here to just hold this up on our own, then it probably wouldn't have been as much of a battle as it was.
So, with you saying that, the thing is, you got to remember, they initiated it off the rip. Mm-hmm. I didn't call in to talk about it.
Okay.
I had to call in literally to defend myself at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So in my mind, nobody even thought anything pertaining to them.
Okay.
But they took it upon themselves just to do that anyway. Now it's different if it was a 97.9 event, period. This is Trae.
They were just one sponsor.
They were just one sponsor that played commercials.
Got it.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in perspective of how you putting it, then I would understand that to the T. And it's not to say, even with letting them get under my skin with the word that I said.
You know, fat ass?
I could take.
I mean, there's worse words could be said.
Yeah, way
say
worse
words that could be said besides fat ass.
And it was more.
I don't think fat ass is bannable.
And it was actually it was comedy the way I said it. So
fat ass isn't banned word.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But even in sense, it's like they took it upon themselves to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I hear you, but
I get it. Anytime I'm in a situation that I don't like that I'm in, man, I always sit back and ask myself, how could I have prevented this?
Oh, yeah.
How could I have prevented from being in this situation? And you couldn't have prevented the action or activity that happened. But after it happened, how could the worst case scenario been prevented from showcasing itself?
And I don't, man, one thing you know about me, I'm an overthinker. So I definitely, I do that. Because if you fast forward, I've been placed as the bad guy all over again. Like I go through these situations. And it's a learning process, you know what I'm saying? And now, I'm learning how to be more understanding and move more off thinking and logic as opposed to letting people trick me out my spot or get me out my character,
Right.
And even now I'm learning to this moment as we sitting on this chair, just being real. I'm human, bro. I ain't perfect.
That's right.
Like I ain't finna portray that I'm that.
None of us are.
Yeah.
None of us are. It ain't nobody who pointing their finger at you that stands in a perfect position. Nobody. Yeah. And I heard you kind of got to it, hinted at it about you being portrayed as a bad guy all over again. I feel like it's something on your heart that you just would like to talk about.
It's not even that. It ain't even that nothing on my heart, bro. It's just the way you're doing it is you're putting it in perspective for people, right?
Other people must understand where you coming from, how you feeling. They also must understand the other side.
Right.
So they can make their own decision.
So with that being said, it just, one of the words I hate
is
bullying and what you antagonizing or
Yeah.
because that's never been my character. Bro.
Got it. But you understand that's the picture they painted.
Definitely,
And
people.
set beside your
I didn't
face.
understand in life when people say, "Hey, sometimes you got to get in front of it." Like, don't let them people tell your story for you.
That's true.
But I've also learned too on the flip side, man, when you moving righteous and then on top of that, the man up above moving with you, sometimes you ain't gotta always explain yourself.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm understanding every aspect of it. But again, in that aspect, I am human, bro. You know, like certain shit I stand for, certain shit I don't stand for.
All right. So what I feel that I see from you is that you've grown as a human being, you've evolved as a person, you've transitioned as an artist, and some of the things you've gone through in your past, you deserve grace, right? Would you say you deserve grace, a clean slate, to be forgiven?
I would say I deserve to be understood. Or try to understand me.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
because when you say grace, right, it's like in my mind when I say grace, like, yeah, I might have did this, I might have messed up, but y'all can give me some kind of grace.
But everybody have though, bro.
But I don't think that's what I'm asking for.
I ain't say that what you asking for. I said that what you deserve. I didn't say that what you asking for.
I think fairly I deserve for people just to take the chance to understand me a little.
Yeah, could anytime we in a bad situation, bro, it's always something we did to contribute to being in the bad situation, regardless. It's always something. It ain't, you know. It's always something.
All right, but let me ask you this, right? If you wake up, let's just ask a person, take me and you out the equation. No. You wake up, huh? Don't take y'all out. Y'all don't mind. That's one of those, KP. But if you have somebody that get up, work hard, they go to work every day. Every day you have, it could be a assistant manager, it could just be a worker. They fuck with this person every day. Every single day. It don't matter if they walk in and smile. They may not even like the way they smile. Right. It's a problem. If they walk in and they try and help somebody, they may not like the way they help. It's a problem. If they walk in and just want to eat, they may not even like the way they chewing their food. It's a problem. Right. When that person that you've been fucking with for so long finally says, hey, bro, I done had enough. Right. And go there, I'm going to ask you who's in the wrong.
It ain't about right and wrong.
No, because you say everybody take part.
I'm saying everybody has wrong. Whatever decision that person made when he say, all right, that's enough, whatever comes after that, you're responsible for. Just like they're responsible for everything that it took to get them to that point. They're both responsible. Nobody gets to walk away without accountability.
Okay. So, with that being said, what happens if it appears that the one that say, I done had enough, is the only bad person out this situation? They didn't, the other stuff was never even thought of at that point.
Well, I think at some point, again, at that point, accepting accountability for the part you played is extremely important. Okay. And in order to do that, you deserve grace. And in order to receive grace, you have to offer grace. So where have you offered grace in order to receive grace?
Honestly, I think if you ask me, I feel I've offered grace in many ways. But then again, you know, your opinion of that may be different.
I don't know. I'm asking the question because I don't know what you've done. You feel me? Yeah. I do not know. I'm asking the question because these are the questions I ask myself. When I'm in a position like, you know what I'm saying, man, why it's always me? And why is it then? I'm like, man, well, what have you done to be the change that you want to see from others? That's what I ask of myself. So that's why I ask you. All right. So okay, we'll just get into it. So the more recent thing that kind of created a divide between you and the community of artists is a situation that happened with you and